epidemiologist. Raywat, did it just get a whole lot more dangerous in Alberta and Saskatchewan?
It did, but also didn't. It hasn't changed what people need to do, which is, of course, get vaccinated and wear your mask, etc. And the deep penetration of vaccination has profoundly lowered the probability that most people will end up in the hospital. However, it got dangerous for those people who cannot be vaccinated or those people who are particularly vulnerable. So, combination of both.
Will there ever be a time, Raywat, some may say to you, that you would agree that it's time to end vaccine mandates and mask mandates?
Vaccine mandates, I'm not so sure. Mask mandates, absolutely. That will come to an end sometime this year, I think. The reason I say no to vaccine mandates being off the table for a while is that we have vaccine mandates for other diseases lasting decades. Having mandatory vaccines for students to attend school, for example. I think COVID-19 will be one of those mandatory vaccines at some point for public schools. But for most professions, it will eventually fall off the table as there is sufficient population immunity to protect the majority of people. That takes a while to accumulate, though. And it won't be over in weeks or months. It'll take years.
And yet some provinces are saying, in order to get into hockey games or restaurants or movie theaters, you shouldn't need to show that.
I understand why they're saying that, because with Omicron, the ability of 2 doses to dramatically curtail transmission has been curtailed to a large extent. But if you redefine fully vaccinated as 3 doses, it makes sense again to have that vaccine passport in place. So, but that begs the question, will sufficient numbers of people take 3 doses? If they won't, then you probably do have to do away with the vaccine passport system at some point. But I'd prefer if we had a better campaign to encourage 3 doses and then make that the standard for vaccine passports.
More deaths announced here today, 12 deaths. When does that end, Raywat?
Well, that's going to take a while as well. So some projections suggest that the deaths are going to mount for some time, as we saw in South Africa, where a month after the wave was over, that's when the spikes in deaths happened. And we might see the same thing here. So it looks like, take Alberta for example, while the cases have come down dramatically, the deaths per day have plateaued at a very high level, and that's going to be sustained for some time. I saw some data from Ontario just now suggesting that the risk of death for the unvaccinated is up to 13 to 50 times higher than with the vaccinated for certain age groups. So long as we have large numbers of unvaccinated people, the risk of death remains very high.
Raywat Deonandan joining us live on 680 CJOB. He is an epidemiologist at the university.
Thanks, Raywat.
It's on your 3:30.